to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
I don't care who or what you are as long as you own it.
And Dale Hummel.
Let's go China.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Yes, I am back.
And Ryan, I am happy we're back. Trying to work in a short episode between getting home at night from Cattleman's.
I don't know what your problem is. I did it without you one time perfectly fine.
No, it not only was time restricted, but it was uncomfortable. That is the easiest way. Uncomfortable.
Mine was not time restricted. Mine was not uncomfortable. I think that you're just being a little bit of a baby.
I would normally like to give you a hard time and avoid you on occasion, but I want you back. That was not enjoyable.
No, I don't understand what your problem is. When you couldn't make it that one time, I did it perfectly fine by myself. Everybody loved me. I don't know what your issue is, but I am back. And I don't understand.
There's something more important.
What?
The pink fur coat I got to see.
You did. I told you the pink fur coat
I got
exists.
to pet the pink fur coat. It was very soft.
I don't know why you didn't think it. I did not make things up in my head.
No, I knew you had it, but it was interesting. I do believe it draws a lot of attention to you.
It does. Now, the problem is I can't wear it out to the show. I could have worn it in Louisville because Louisville's all concrete. It's very clean. Love all things Cattleman Congress, but it's been very windy and lots of dirt, so you can't wear it out there.
You would have become a dust bunny, literally.
It would not have been good. But going back to me being gone last week, I don't know. I've had 5,000 people flood my inbox. They don't understand the suitcase story, which I thought I explained this on the podcast very well.
Not everybody caught that one, I don't think. Not that you didn't explain. I just don't know that everybody listened to that episode.
Evidently not. And now everybody's very confused. So I will go over this again. So when I was flying, Miss America's over. I go to the airport the day to fly to Louisiana to judge a show that weekend. This is a Friday, December 17th, to be exact. I was pulling a bag from the car service that took me there, and I misfooted. Anyway, the 70-pound suitcase is on top of me. Long story short, I couldn't get up right away. Paramedics come. It's a mess. They tell me I don't need to fly. I fly anyway. I try to go make the show in Louisiana. That doesn't work. I go to the ER. My parents have to come get me, drive me back home because I cannot drive. Rent car got impounded. You name it, it happened. I get home, go to a doctor, all this lovely stuff, doing chiropractor, physical therapy, whatever, to get this worked out. And before I came up to OKC, I was about 80 to 85%. I could not sit down. That was the only thing. I could stand, walk, talk, all that for as long as whatever. Just could not stay in a seated position for very long at most angles. Some, okay, but most not. The first doctor that I went to, he told me that I would not be going anywhere till at least February 1st. So, of course, I didn't listen to him. Callie drives me to Oklahoma City. I'm laid back in the seat the whole way. It's about 6 hours, and maybe I should have heeded the doctor's advice a little more because I got here and it got real bad. Probably as bad as the original injury. Went to another specialist up here, got some new medicine, all this other stuff. Worst thing, not only could I not record last week, I have never got to judge in the state of Georgia. And I was scheduled to judge this huge hog show last weekend in Georgia. And on Tuesday, when I still could not basically stand up for more than 5 minutes, I called him. I said, I can't be there. And it hurt me more than it hurt anybody else because I wanted to judge that show because I'd never judged in Georgia. But I had thought of every possible situation. I wasn't going to be able to sit on a plane ride to get there. I thought about somebody driving me, but 6 hours to Oklahoma City, that didn't do worth the damn. There's no way 12 to Georgia's going to be any better. So I had to cancel. Good news is, as of last Friday, with this new doctor and new drugs, whatever, I actually could sit through an entire meal without any pain. I'm not perfect, but I'm much better. But That is the suitcase story, since everybody missed it the first time. There you go. It's a terrible story. It's not a good story. It would be I could invent a much better story, but that is the truth.
When I have a suitcase that weighs over 50 pounds, they charge me extra.
Yeah, but you're not first class.
Yeah, I don't take if you would have not been first class and abide by the 50-pound rule, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Just maybe.
No, that's not the case. So next.
There is so much going on in the world around. There's enough if we have the time for Beyond the Circus. I've been away from the news for 3 weeks, and oh my God, the world's going a lot of directions. Lots of directions.
I know nothing other than Cattlemen's Congress.
Did you hear anything about North Korea in the last 24 hours?
No. Georgia won the football game. Go Georgia.
They
go
did.
Dogs.
Then I think everybody shut it off before they won, but they won.
But that's all I know. That's not. Oh wait, Betty White died and Bob Saget died. Okay, that's my current events. I'm good.
North Korea launches a missile yesterday. Causes the FAA to shut down all flights on the West Coast. Grounded all flights for a period of time because of this missile launch. And that means they were obviously pretty concerned about it. Do you want to know what Biden does over the whole thing?
I have no idea.
You don't have to listen to this. You know what Biden's going to do.
He didn't say anything about it.
Nothing. Zero. Does nothing. This whole administration doing nothing about Russia, China, North Korea. They are all, and we've talked about this, pushing limits and progressing down paths that they've wanted to take for so long that they couldn't because of past administration wasn't going to allow it. They would at least put sanctions in place or something. Right now, there are no boundaries. You have Russia continuing to build up on the Ukraine. You have China continuing their progression to taking over Taiwan. You have North Korea testing more missiles now than we've seen in years, couple of years probably, and no slowdown. In Biden's response to Ukraine, who is supposedly our ally, that, well, if Russia invades, we will send a missile defense system then. How do you think that's going to work out, Ryan?
I'm still confused on, so North Korea fired a rocket into the ocean, but why did it stop all the airplanes?
I'm assuming this, and I didn't research it. I just
they thought it wasn't going into the ocean. They thought it was going.
They thought it was going to interfere.
I thought that was it, but I wanted that cleared because
now I don't know where it ended. I don't know where it ended up, and obviously I don't think it would have. They would have had to have done it, but when they take an action like that, it's pretty serious. This is not to mention the crap with the cyber attacks that China and Russia continue to push. It's all going in a lot of directions that are not good, guys. I'm not trying to be Mr. Doomsday. I'm not trying to be negative. I know, and I get lots of messages and people that will visit with me when I was out at Phoenix and in Cattlemen's Congress. They kind of like listening just to kind of get updated on where the news is. Guys, the news is not very positive right now in the world. Unfortunately, it's a challenge. So let's go, Brandon. I don't know it could be more accurate. It is an absolute mess. Absolute mess. Ryan, North Korea comes out and says that they're going to boycott the Olympics because of U.S. hostility.
Huh?
Yeah. North Korea is not attending the Olympics, and they throw it out there, and the left-wing media picks this up. So if you read the left-wing media, North Korea is nervous about us being too hostile towards them to send an Olympic team, and they're concerned about the pandemic. When in all actuality, they were barred months ago from the Winter Olympics because of their pullout of the Summer Olympics. We had nothing to do with this. This was something that the Olympic Committee barred North Korea, yet North Korea just recently comes out with their statement. They're concerned about how hostile the U.S. is, and they're not sending anybody to the Winter Olympics. Propaganda bullshit is what we're going to call it.
Oh, that's interesting.
How is COVID in Crockett, Texas? You would not know, would you? You are not there.
I haven't been to Crockett, so I don't know.
I have not been home since Christmas Eve. Returned 3 a.m. yesterday, sometime recently. So I get back home, Ryan, and I knew while I was gone communicating with people back here that Omicron hit hard, and in terms of exposure, in terms of it's doing exactly what we predicted it would. If you looked at the true science, we knew how contagious it was. We knew that it was much milder than the other cases, but it has hit. I know more people that have had COVID in the past 2 weeks than the entire pandemic, and most of it right here locally. So we're in Phoenix. Our manager's father tests positive for COVID. Our manager's got a runny nose, cough, things like that. Could be a cold, could be COVID. everybody at Phoenix, including myself, ends up with a sore throat and hacking up things and just what we sometimes refer to as a stock show crud, Ryan. I don't know.
You have flu-rona.
I don't know, but everybody at Phoenix, and I'm going to assume we'll have the same thing at Cattleman's, if you hadn't already been exposed to it, there is no avoiding it. I go into the store. I went into Meijer grocery store. I went into Walmart yesterday. And when I left before Christmas, I'm going to say 40, 50% of the people had masks on in stores, even though in Illinois, it is a mandate. It is required. People just said, screw it. They weren't wearing them. I'm going to say, Ryan, yesterday it was 90%. And I think that's because of Omicron exploding everywhere, not just this local area. But the sad part is, and I don't want to belittle this at all, unless you're in an N95 in a full evac suit, like remember we had at the beginning of the pandemic here, there is no avoiding it. You are going to be exposed. Let's hope your vaccination, your previous antibodies, whatever it may be, let's hope maybe that even if you are exposed and you have no antibodies, that your immune system's strong enough to fight it off, because it's not that bad, relatively speaking, but you cannot avoid it short of locking yourself somewhere in nowhere land. You cannot. The positive, we talked about it. Everybody's going to have antibodies, whether it's vaccination, whether it's natural exposure, whatever it is. This is a good thing because, good Lord, Ryan, I know you're not ready for this pandemic to be over, but I am.
Yeah. Next. I don't even know why you're talking about it.
Because it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. And the other thing, DeSantis comes out, and this is the political side of the crap. When we have the FDA putting out policy right now, Ryan, and I know you haven't been around the news, but basically racist protocols in play that certain skin color is going to receive monoclonal antibodies before others or any of our prophylactics. Just like DeSantis in Florida says he's being restricted on how much monoclonal antibodies he has access to. We came up with these treatments before the vaccine. This was easier to do than ramping up vaccines. Again, guess what the Biden administration has done in terms of the treatment side?
I have no idea, Dale.
Yeah, nothing. That is it. That is why you have no idea. They have done nothing, and they're leaving us out there. And I try to explain what I believe to be the truth, that Omicron is not that serious compared to some of the other variants, not as lethal. And when I say that, there are people going to die, that it is going to put people down pretty hard. There's a lot of things, but relatively speaking, not as bad. But there is still no excuse in this country why we don't have those treatments available for everyone. And I have visited with friends and family that have COVID, that it hit fairly hard and they wish they had access to it. And it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist here locally. It doesn't exist in very many places around the country that I personally communicate with people on. And that's a sad situation when you're in a life or death situation and there is a treatment. And because our administration has done nothing to push these treatments through or make them more available, that's sad. So with that, Ryan, we've got a lot of things going on, and you and I can both attest that I can't say that I didn't see any masks at Phoenix or Cattleman's. I mean, very, very few. And I don't know if I told the story last week on that shortened episode, but it is so unique for those of you that aren't traveling from state to state. Between here and Arizona, we drove that, and the most unusual thing happened to me when we stopped in New Mexico at a gas station. Both entrances, there are two people with a station set up with masks that they will hand you as soon as you walk in, and they actually took your temperature. Assumably, if your temperature is high, you were not getting in. And I know this was stuff that we went through when you went to the doctor's office and different things long ago. But it really, when you're in an environment like you are in the stock show where it's just almost non-existent protocols for COVID, and that then you stop and it hits you like that, it's eye-opening how different still each part of the country is.
I wouldn't have shopped at that gas station.
I did not know, or I would not have. I had already fueled up, or I probably wouldn't have. But I hear that is pretty much protocol across New Mexico. And I did hear a story from one of my friends, and he seems like a very honest person. But he made the comment a couple of weeks ago traveling through there that one of the hotels either would not allow him or strongly discouraged him from staying there because he was out of state. I have a hard time understanding that, but that was what I was told.
I thought that was the whole purpose of hotels, were for people that weren't from that country
Yes,
area to be there.
I would agree. Store shelves in Walmart and Meijer grocery stores, they're probably 60, 70% stocked. It's not like you can't get food, but there's certain brands and certain things that are just not available anymore. So I talked to some of the stocking guys in the store there. I talked to one of the guy that puts in all the soda and the different drinks, and they're not Walmart employees, but actually from Coca-Cola or Pepsi or whatever. And I just made a comment, when do you think you'll be back in full supply? And he says, well, the warehouses right now are actually getting better stocked. They're getting more product in than they've ever had, but they don't have anybody working in the warehouse. And he says, we're paying $25 an hour, and we can't get workers in the warehouse to get us loaded.
Wait, I do have a piece of current events. I did. So
go.
The jobs report was like 199,000, and it was supposed to be like 400,000. But here is the kicker: 450,000 people quit their job last month.
Quit.
I
and maybe we already talked about every restaurant I went to, Ryan. Maybe you're not experiencing it, but they have tables open, or they're leaving certain capacity because they can't get enough help in the restaurants. How is this possible that we have so many people still not coming to work?
What I don't understand is, so this expected jobs report was 400,000, but 450,000 people quit their job. Now, if you're quitting your job, if you have one and you're quitting, that means that it is cheaper for you to take care of your kids instead of sending them to daycare. I mean, there's a reason that someone just quits their job because they think they can make ends meet a different way.
I believe it is a safety net that is way too damn big. How's that?
But they're not giving out stimulus checks anymore. So
we still get our little child tax credit, which people don't realize.
I know,
we get that at the end of the year anyway. But
I'm very confused.
I think and I had this discussion with my son yesterday when I was visiting with the waitress in a restaurant in Arizona, and we had a hard time. We had a long wait to get in and a long wait to get your pizza. She had talked about, and I think we said this a couple episodes ago, that normally they have 5 people in the kitchen. They're down to 2. And I said, well, what's going on? She says, well, they're coming in, other employees at that restaurant. Her example was they're coming in, working as long as they have to qualify for unemployment. And then they're quitting, or they're taking unemployment. What I don't understand, Ryan, in general, how unemployment works, we pay into unemployment insurance. And when a former employee files unemployment, that basically costs us as a small business more money paying into a higher insurance. With that said, we would normally have to fire them. If somebody quits in the past, they're not eligible for unemployment.
I didn't think you got unemployment if you quit. If you got fired, you got unemployment.
Yes, I don't believe in the past that you used to. So I'm thinking what's going on, and I don't know. Maybe a listener, I'm sure a listener can straighten this out. I think if you work for a certain amount of time that qualifies you for unemployment, you can not work because of grounds of something COVID, that you're afraid to go to work, you don't want to be exposed. There must be a loophole that we're missing there. Does that make sense?
Evidently, because like I said, the people that quit working was more than the expected jobs report, and the actual jobs report was half of what the expected jobs report was. So
the bottom line is there's a reason they're doing that. They're not doing it because they want to starve. That is not the case.
No.
Beetlejuice claims that the teachers in the Chicago public schools illegally walked out the past 4 days. Or illegally on strike because they don't want to teach during COVID.
Oh.
That's pretty strong for Beetlejuice.
My favorite Democrat in the world said no one ever. AOC went to Florida and had a big party without a mask on. Now she's got Rona.
Oh, my.
I know. It's terrible.
What about Bill Maher? He's still speaking out against the woke movement. That's interesting to me.
I don't even.
I mean, he talks about being an old school Democrat, and yet he comes out and says that the current Democratic Party has no common sense. That's kind of telling it how it is.
Which I hate Whoopi Goldberg. Like, I hate that woman. Like, I don't think she should be allowed on TV. But she got Rona, and she goes on The View via Zoom or whatever, and she goes crazy because she's like, I don't understand how I got it. I wear a mask. I follow all the protocols. I'm triple vaxxed, and I still got it, and I'm angry. I don't understand why.
That right there is the exact problem that we're in right now. The exact
It's like, whatever,
Yeah.
girl. Yeah.
This contagious level Omicron it's so contagious. We can't avoid it. Maybe your antibodies from vaccination will help you through it. Maybe it'll avoid any symptoms. Maybe there's a lot of things, but you are going to be exposed. And most of you, if you were to test, you would probably test positive. I don't know if I had COVID when I was in Phoenix. They say 50% of the people.
I think you had worse than COVID.
It's possible. I mean, I was sore and achy and it went through, but it's no different than what a flu
You're
bug.
in a very bad mood the whole time you were in Phoenix. So you had something worse than Rona.
I had not had very much sleep, and we're going to talk about some of those things today. No, I was probably a little cranky. I was driving from Phoenix to Cattleman's. That was a challenge. Just not feeling 100% by any means. Oh, New York, real quick. New York. They recently elected Alvin Bragg as, I believe, the Manhattan District Attorney. You want to know what he's promoting right now, Ryan?
I have no clue.
Basically, can give get out of jail free cards. He instead of being a prosecutor, he's acting as a defendant for most of the criminals. Yeah, but there are people noticing, and they are speaking up a little bit. So maybe we're going to get through all these things, and if you commit a crime, you actually get punished someday, somehow.
Thought that was kind of like the whole process.
No,
like
we
break
lost
the
that.
law.
We lost all of that recently. Gone. That doesn't matter. During the pandemic, do what you want.
Fine.
Free everything. Free.
I don't know. Like, and again, I'm truly asking this. So, like, I know the Supreme Court was hearing the thing on Biden's vaccine mandates, like for companies over 100 that you had to be vaccinated. Have they passed judgment on that? Callie is very concerned about this for some reason.
No, and I had
she
several.
keeps asking me, and I'm like, I don't know.
I had several people approach me at Cattleman's that are involved in companies of over 100 or own a company. And a couple days ago, the last I was at Cattleman's, they had not passed anything. But yeah, we need to. I maybe it's happened and I missed it as well. But I researched for a half hour before we jumped on today, and then that's the extent of my news exposure.
Oh, good.
I did hear a lot about aliens and UFOs on podcasts on the way home from Cattleman's.
Oh, great.
President Eisenhower, do you know where he was? He met with an alien.
He met with an alien.
Oh,
where?
In the White House.
Office?
Oval,
Oh.
yes, Oval Office.
That's nice.
And we can go into that more on a special alien episode.
No, you need to bring on a guest for your special alien episode because I don't think I'm going to be able to make it.
It'll be so good. Good. Are you ready?
Yes. I'm very proud of this topic because it's Dale's topic. Dale actually came up with the topic, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know if
so y'all all send him a message, give him an attaboy. He came up with the topic,
but I don't know
by
that
himself.
I think I just came up with I just discussed it. It didn't hit me that it could be a topic. I think you labeled it a topic.
Well, okay. I'm trying to give Dale credit, and he's not taking it.
No,
he came up with he was venting to me about things. I said, "Hey, this would be a great topic for Beyond the Ring."
That was exactly how this happened. But before we go into that, there was something that was big that happened the last couple days.
Oh,
big,
what?
Huge.
What? Oh my!
The man, the myth, the legend, made an appearance at Cattleman's Congress.
Who?
He was not in disguise. He did not have a black vest and white shirt on. He did not have a pink fur coat on. Yes, I did get to meet the man behind the memes. The one, the only, Mr. Boxall.
Oh, Lord.
He did show up in person at Cattleman's Congress, and you want to know the best thing? He is as socially awkward as I am.
That's great.
It is. We bonded over social awkwardness.
I bet y'all had a great conversation since y'all are both socially awkward.
I mean, we probably visited for an hour. And that's like a record for both of us. But we do appreciate. Thank you for your continued support. Boxall Manufacturing. If you're in the need for a blower, a show box, anything Boxall, please give them a call. We appreciate their support of the used stock show industry.
Well, I tried to get my stepfather to buy a Boxall blower, and since he would not give a discount, my stepfather said no. So I tried for you, Mr. Boxall. Daddy James said no.
The Ryan Rash discount. That's what we should have
had. He did not.
Kind of like that promo code. Use pink fur code in the promo code.
But I want to since I've been gone for a week and behind, we had a huge BTR JLA sponsorship. And I want to thank Leonard Truck and Trailer. They became a corporate sponsor. They're a national top 10 award sponsor. They're the Region 6 Cattle, Region 6 Hog, and they are the state of Ohio cattle sponsor. Needless to say, that makes them the single largest donor to the BTR JLA so far. I was just completely floored. And Clint and his family and his company, I just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being so generous and helping these kids that are BTR JLA members. And at Leonard Truck and Trailer, they are dedicated to providing the best service, selection, and value. Their efforts are focused on meeting and exceeding their customers' expectations every day, because we know that our continued success relies on our ability to satisfy every single customer. They are committed to being your one-stop trailer source. They have the largest selection of trailers in the nation, on-the-spot financing, a custom vinyl department, in-house warranty department, and comprehensive parts and service department. So again, if you need a truck and trailer, please go see Leonard Truck and Trailer. And again, thank them so much for all the support that they've given us. I wasn't here last week, but points are up. Kids are showing. From the first weekend of shows, there's 2 shows that still have not got me their results. All the other ones are up. We're getting points in from this past weekend that are going up, but the BTR JLA is off and running to a great start.
Excellent. And we've had several people, and I'm sure you as well, Ryan, when I say we, approach us about all the sponsors that we've been getting for the Junior Association. And it's interesting to me when a family such as this, and all the families that have donated and or businesses, thank you. That they don't need to do this. This is something they're doing out of a genuine desire to help this industry, because they see the value in this industry. And that's huge.
And I also want to put this out here. All of these people have approached me. I have not gone out and tried to get sponsors. Every single one of these people came to me and said, hey, we want to do this or we want to do that. It's not like I've been making phone calls. So it's not like they were asked to do it. They sought us out because that's how much they want to help the kids and they want to see this association succeed.
That is a huge statement right there. And it's impressive. I appreciate it. I hope our listeners appreciate that. And if you see any of these sponsors, just a simple thank you. If you see them at a show or know them personally, however you can, a simple thank you, I think, would go a long way and absolutely deserved. It is time, Ryan. It is time. We're going to talk about a topic today that I don't know how much people have put thought into it, but it came to me while I was at Arizona National. And its title is Security or Night Security at Stock Shows.
See, you're saying it the wrong way. It's security.
Security. Call security. So we can go a lot of different directions, but part of it, and maybe what is interesting, and again, I'm going to go a lot of different directions, and I'm sure Ryan will as well with this. We can talk about county fair, overnight jackpot shows, state fairs, national shows, whatever it may be. There are some shows that are totally hands-off. There is no security whatsoever outside of the getting in the main gate at your county fair. To, I believe, and I don't know if it still happens this way. I haven't been there for a couple of years, but the junior show at Denver, in theory, the market show, you would have to be gone by 10 p.m., and those doors wouldn't unlock again until about 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning. So there's lots of different levels and lots of different, I guess, practical expectations in terms of how successful implementing some of these measures are. And as of right now, Ryan, I can't think of anywhere that I would say, wow, this is really, really good, because I don't know if there is an exact answer. And I don't know that we should be putting it on the stock shows to have to provide such services. And we'll go into that a little bit more.
You know, at the little jackpot level or the county fair level, I don't think that you're going to have much that deal. I mean, all county fairs have some security, but in terms of watching the animals at night, making sure that nobody is doing stuff to them, I don't think that much is there on a county fair level. Like the security there at Center County Fair level is make sure the people are like not disrupting things or concerts or, all that kind of stuff. But I'm just going to Dale's got a lot of different avenues. I'm just going to tell you what we do. If we are going to a jackpot show where it is, we come in Friday and go home Sunday, then somebody goes out there and checks those animals probably 2 or 3 times during the night, but nobody stays with them. If it's anything more than that, there's somebody with that animal 24 hours a day. And I agree with Dale. I don't know how much responsibility we can put on the shows to provide that. So we do that ourselves. Sometimes it's moms and dads taking one night. I've hired people. And college kids really like me because most shows I would hire kids to stay out there all night and they go sleep in the room all day. But I know the things that I have seen over the years happen at shows. And like I said, if it's other than a jackpot show where we go in Friday or go home Saturday or Sunday, we have somebody with our animals 24 hours a day.
And maybe, Ryan, and I'm sure a lot of people are thinking there, what are they talking about? We feed our animals and do the night chores, and we go home and we come back in the morning, and things are usually fine. I want to take it a little bit deeper even, and Ryan has stated he is going to have somebody there. I stayed at Phoenix nearly every night. There was a couple time periods that we had other families that I knew were out there and around our stalls that I had maybe an hour to 2 hours lapse in between them leaving and myself showing up. But there's so many reasons to be there. Let's use Phoenix and the Lamb and Goat Barn as an example. The 2 nights that I was there most of the night, there was no less than 15 sheep and goats that figured out how to escape their pen, whether the latch wasn't secure, the gate wasn't secure, whatever it may be, that are simply roaming around the barn. I put most of them back in the pens I thought they went in, but I couldn't get all of them back in by myself. But those things are happening. Even just a blanket getting tangled up or them getting a leg caught in a blanket. There are so many things, getting a head stuck between the bars.
Yeah, it was exactly what I was saying. I can't tell you the number of, I'm not talking like a handful. I'm talking probably closer to 50 times throughout the years that there's been a calf, a steer, a heifer that got their head caught in the thing. And because we were out there and we saw it, we went and got it out. I'm also going to be real and tell you that there are people that will go out there and try to sabotage animals. I am going to tell you. I know, okay? And so y'all aren't going to want to hear that because rainbows and butterflies and all that stuff. But there are people that are out there to screw with the competition and sabotage other people's animals. And that's the truth. If you don't like it, send me a hate mail. I know, I've seen it.
That's the big elephant in the room, Ryan. And you're right. It's not something people are wanting to hear. I don't even like talking about it.
And I don't care. I don't care if you like talking about it or not.
No, we need to. I'm with you.
It's the truth.
We need to.
And again, a lot of people aren't from Texas and all this other stuff, and they don't know, but every single one of those Texas major shows has a rodeo that at the end there's a concert. It gets out about midnight, 11. Most of the rodeo crowd has been drinking. And so they make their way through the barns and they're feeding them stuff and riding them and taking pictures and all this. There's a lot of innocent stuff that can go wrong because of things like that. But there is also the other part that I'm telling you is real, it's true, and it happens. Whether you want to hit or not, that is the fact. And that is the reason, just like I stated at the beginning of this, someone will be with our animals 24/7, 365 if it is anything more than just a weekend jackpot show.
And that's the sad part as an industry, Ryan. And this is where I come in. I don't know. I think it is the show's responsibility to try to provide something, especially when the rodeos release or the beer tent closes or whatever. But you know what? In terms of somebody going out there to sabotage or to target those that are competitive because of whatever reason, there are only a very, very few bad apples in our industry across species. And I think the solution is us as parents, as exhibitors, as industry enthusiasts, whatever it may be. It's real simple. If we do not deem that person a role model or someone we would like our children to grow up to be like, we do not need those people around the industry. It's very few very young youth exhibitors that we'd ever worry about doing this or have to worry about. But it's not hard to just take a snapshot and you can say, boom, boom, boom. These are the people that act like what we would like to have our kids around. And I think it goes to one simple thing, Ryan. We have a lot of people in our industry that may have grown up in this industry for whatever reason, maybe did or did not have success, but they are bound and determined that their kids are going to have success, whether they're living through their kids or want to hang a banner on the wall, that sometimes we totally forget about we're raising kids and we want to set that example and we want to lead by example. And if we simply eliminated that small fraction of those out there that most people would not want their kids around, we would eliminate a lot of this problem. I don't know that the stock show can do it. Can the stock show put in security cameras? Can exhibitors? And a lot of exhibitors are bringing their own night cameras and setting them up on their pins so they can check them from their phones. There's a lot of good in doing things like that. And I think if enough exhibitors do it, if there's enough cameras in the barn, that's going to stop, or at least.
If I was still actively selling animals, we would be doing the camera thing and somebody would still be there too. But we would also be having the cameras that you can check on your phone, all that. I do think that is a new piece of technology that, again, people are like, I can't believe y'all think that at the level of competition that I was selling animals at, yeah, we would go that step.
I just, you think about all the time and effort at home, the expense, everything that goes into it, and whether intentionally sabotaged or something accidentally goes wrong, you can't afford to take that chance, Ryan. You and I are on the same page with that. It just, that extra effort. Did I enjoy staying out and it was cold? And I can remember whether it's in Fort Worth helping watch some of our clients' animals, whether it's my own kids that were staying out there for.
It's miserable.
It's terrible. And I would rather be back. I'd rather go out to eat with my family and get some sleep and spend some time with them. But no, because of issues like this, there is somebody usually out at the barn watching these animals or in tie outs, wherever it may be. But anything we can do as an industry, whether it's a stock show, whether it's other families, maybe just bringing this up and talking about it, whatever we can do to lessen this and make this the industry that we all want it to be, and we know the good that comes from it, that is a very, very good thing. I have a suggestion for the stock shows. I think night cameras or anything that records is probably a great start. I know that, for example, in the Champions Barn at the Illinois State Fair, they supposedly lock that up at night and they have a security guard out there, just like they do at Denver. I just don't think that is being implemented in a manner that works. In other words, Illinois State Fair Champions Barn, people are still wandering through there. I can go out at midnight and I will go out to check on animals because I don't feel comfortable that the security guard, knows anything about animals and are not capable of knowing when something goes wrong or anything unusual happening. So I don't know if that's, if you were going to do that, you would have to the show would have to put a significant amount of effort into it. I think maybe a simple solution from the shows. I know Arizona National hired a lot of interns. I got to work with one when we were picking out classes for the judging contest, and he did a phenomenal job, and they've got a lot of them in there. What about an intern that's within the industry? And I'm not saying that they need to lock things down, but what if they're just walking through the barn from one end of the barn to the next from 10 o'clock until 5 or 6 in the morning, just checking on things. If an animal's out, putting that animal back, if one of them's got a foot caught, fixing that, maybe as a deterrent that others aren't going to come in and do things that they shouldn't be doing. That wouldn't take that much to have some type of it. I'm not saying it's foolproof, but I think that would act as a positive. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many animals, and again, is it the show's responsibility to make the exhibitor lock their gate and zip tie it shut or put a bungee cord on, whatever it is? No, it's not. It ultimately is the exhibitor's responsibility. But just something simple like that would help prevent a lot of show kids from having a disastrous day when they get there that next morning. So not foolproof, but maybe a good idea.
And one thing that, I mean, again, I'm not going to sugarcoat this for people. Like I said, I know things that happen out there, that there are people that are willing to go to the level to sabotage other people's stock to get an advantage or to take them out, etc. A lot of stuff that happens, though, when somebody isn't watching an animal is just a result of circumstances. And so, like, I'm going to give an example. At most of these shows, what we call a major show or a terminal show, market show, whatever you want to, however you want to let, you're controlling that animal's weight in terms of the fact that, like, you have a weigh back or you've got to get him weighed in a certain class or all this other stuff. So when you're not out there, if that animal is not gotten all it wants to eat, it is going to try to find a way to do that, whether it is reaching a steer, sticking their head through the panel to try to get feed or water that's in the feed alley in front of it, whether it is a goat or a lamb, trying to get out of a pen so it can get to another pen where there is those things accessible like that. Things like that happen. It's not anybody doing it. It is a result of the consequences in the situation that you are under.
Absolutely. And Ryan, I'm confident, and you and I see this so clearly, and because we have been in the barns at night, if you truly knew every night your animal was in there, knew what was going on, and I'm not saying somebody coming and sabotaging, just normal happenstance.
If you've seen the stuff that we have seen over the years, you would just die.
Yeah, you would stay in the barn.
You would never leave your animal again.
And I know maybe people think we're exaggerating, but it was an eye-opener for me at Phoenix. When I say no less than 15 lambs and goats roaming the barn, I mean, it was like a racetrack at one point, Ryan. They were so excited to do laps around the pens. It was, I got up to put them away or to stop them because I'm very anal. When it's time for those animals to sleep, I want them to sleep. But it was...
You did not want the racetracks upsetting your...
It was so much chaos.
Goats.
Our goats would get up and watch the races. It was unbelievable. And I mean, those lambs are having a blast. It was really good. In some of the shows where you don't have muzzles on, they are out nibbling on everything and anything. If there were pigs in the barn prior to that, pig feed with ractopamine or Paline, there's so many drug testing issues. If we have a show that's not intelligent, about low levels, that was some type of contamination like that, you're out. Just that simple.
That was another thing I was going to say. I remember one instance. It was at one of the Texas major shows. And anyway, I don't even remember what year this was, but a couple of kids got disqualified for caffeine. I don't know why they were testing for that, whatever. But, like, long story short, the thing happened, or what these people are saying is, like, you know, the rodeo crowd or whatever, like, dumped a Coke in one of the pens, etc., because there was no real reason on why you would, like, hype your animal up on caffeine, for instance. But so just like you're saying, if they get out or somebody feeds them something that they're not supposed to, and again, I've seen, and this is just people not thinking, I've seen actual stock show people go through and they see a calf that's bawling, hungry, thirsty, whatever, and they'll give it a drink of water because they think they're doing the right thing. I mean, and completely innocent. I mean, but there's just so many things that can happen that can derail you, set you back, or take you out.
Absolutely. When we talk about this zero tolerance, when there's static or there's such low levels that have zero impact, the caffeine, Ryan, I had gotten a call from Illinois State Fair years ago that all kinds of pigs were testing for caffeine. Well, guess what? They were giving them chocolate and Sure, and there's caffeine in chocolate. Did that give them a competitive advantage? Absolutely not. Yet all of a sudden we're kicking kids out for reasons. There's enough crap going on. I'm not trying to turn a blind eye that there's nothing illegal or there's not competitive.
No, I'm not either. Things, but like, kick people out for the stuff that
that's important.
Is whatever.
That actually makes a difference. That is being done intentionally for that competitive advantage that people that are playing by the rules are not doing. Let's have everybody in the same playing field, period.
But that's another podcast.
And I'm ready, Ryan. I'm ready. I'm kind of fired up about that because it is ridiculous.
He keeps saying that. He keeps saying that, people, and every time I bring it up,
maybe it's then the next couple weeks.
Okay, but
the big picture, Ryan, if everybody knew, I have a couple simple suggestions. I'm going to plead with our listeners. If we could implement just one of these, I think we could fix this issue we're talking about. And it makes me feel so good when Ryan and I discuss something and it actually has an impact out there. And and we'll get a message. Well, thank you for bringing this up. I had somebody come up to me at Cattleman's, and Ryan, I don't even remember doing this. I think I talked about we were bleeding cattle to get health papers because we had to bleed and run certain tests to get into Cattlemen's Congress. This was their first year going, and they just had normal health papers, didn't bleed their cattle. They made a rush that day to get the vet in to bleed. They were able to attend because they heard you or I talking about this was a requirement at Cattlemen's. When we can make a difference, how small it may be, it makes me feel really, really good. Here's a couple simple suggestions that shows and exhibitors could implement that I think would really help solve a lot of these problems to avoid an exhibitor getting there that next morning and there's something drastically wrong with that animal, whether it ate something, whether it was out running around, whatever it may be. We talked about the interns, a livestock person, somebody that grew up in the community, just hanging out in the barn, literally, whether they're in a chair, whether they're wandering around, talking to some of the exhibitors that are coming through to check on animals. That's going to help. If we can implement, the more people that bring in their cameras into the barn that they can check on their phone that has some form of recording. The shows, if they have a digital camera that's recording and re-recording over itself on a DVR every 72 hours, so there's some record of it, that is going to stop, if not at least slow down anybody doing anything intentionally wrong just because those are in place and there's going to be consequences. If we could get each family to maybe just stop out there one time during the night. Let's say one family is going out at 11 o'clock, another one at midnight, another one at 2 a.m. If every family that has animals in that barn, if just one representative would take 10 minutes to walk through the barn and just check on things, that is going to do so much to improve these situations. So there are solutions, but I think we as an industry cannot rely on the stock show to do it all. We need to help. We need to kick the bad apples the hell out of our industry. Do not encourage them to be involved. And then the things that animals do, just being animals, some of these other solutions with that intern in there, with people just wandering or one person from each family checking, there's going to be eyes on those animals all night long if we could implement that. And I promise you that makes for a much better experience for the exhibitors.
Yeah, I know. I think those are excellent suggestions, Dale. And again, you can't put it all on the shows. I mean, I think every single show of large sizes, like we're talking about, they can make improvements, whether some of them may have cameras in the barn. I don't know if they all do. I know some of them do. If they do have that, then that helps a lot. But they should let that be known. If you've got them, say, hey, we have cameras. We're recording. We know what's going on. Because that's going to stop a whole lot of it. Just knowing that there is eagle eyes above you watching and recording, that's going to stop the stuff that we need stopped. It's not going to, prevent everything, like we're saying, a calf getting his head stuck in the thing, but it will make the people that we're talking about, the bad apples, think again about doing things. I think the intern is a great idea. And then again, but I'm also going to tell you, and I'm super out there on one end of this, and that's fine. Ultimately, the responsibility relies within you. And y'all may say I'm way too serious about it. Maybe I am. But ultimately, the buck stops with you, and it's your kid or your family or your team. So you've got to do stuff too.
And I don't like staying out there, Ryan. It's miserable. But
that's why I hired people.
That's part of it. You're right. I mean,
which I don't understand why I hired people and I still go out there 3 times a night. So I'm really dumb. I'll admit it. I'm way over the top on this.
And maybe we should just remember and stop and think that if we just surround our kids with good people, I don't know that some of this would be a problem. We're still going to get the issues of the animals, but we don't have to worry about the other facet. That's good. That this was enjoyable, Ryan. I think it needed to be said. I hope we're not, you and I maybe take it a little extreme, but if they truly saw what's going on every night in the barns, people, listeners, I promise you would be more concerned. You would not sleep well without going out to check on those things.
Well, Dale, you were talking about earlier that the family that told you that they got their stuff done and it's because they listen on this deal. And I don't know, like, if it's just because this past week, since I could get back out to the barn at Cattlemen's Congress, I had so many people come up and just say, hey, y'all do a great job. We love what you're doing. Don't be afraid to talk about the things that are swept under the rug. I've had that comment at least 20-something times in the past couple of days. And that was when Dale talked about this at Arizona, was telling me what was going on in the barns at night. I said, this could be a topic. But like, even though a lot of people don't want to hear those things, and that's why I said it, I'm going to tell you, this is out there. It happens, whether you want to believe it or not. It's not rainbows and butterflies. I do think people do appreciate the fact that we will push the envelope and tell the truth about matters that most people don't want to talk about. And sometimes I have to nudge Dale a little bit because he doesn't like it. But I do know that people respect it and they want us to continue to do that.
So. And I've had the same, especially at Phoenix and Cattlemen's. And I just want to put it out there. Those people, so many people that'll come up and say those exact words, Ryan, just please keep doing what you're doing. Don't shy away from any of it. We appreciate it. I think finally, Ryan, we talk about how you and I can't just fix things. We can bring it to light. We can get people talking about it. But I think we're finally seeing people engage about some of the things we're talking about and take on that personal responsibility to talk to that superintendent or that fair manager. Ryan and I can discuss it. We don't have that magic wand that every fair manager is not going to do exactly what we tell them to do, or every family or every exhibitor. But as a collective group, as livestock exhibitors and people in the livestock industry, if you step up and bring light to it and do what you can, if every individual does that, we're going to continue to do better. And that's what it's all about. Let's do better. And I think we're on a good path right now. And thank you for showing your appreciation. When you come up and tell me thank you, or Ryan thank you for doing what we do, and everybody, I think they're probably aware of that. We bring in so little advertising. I can promise you this cost us money to put this out there. We're not making a dime on this. We're doing it because we believe in making this industry better. And when you come up and express your gratitude, it means a lot to us. It really does.
No, it does. And I think the one thing, first off, I don't know if you mentioned this last week, but the fact that over 1 million downloads on our podcast in less than 2 years, that's just insane. That's like at 12,000 downloads an episode. That puts us in the top 1% of all podcasts worldwide. And we're kind of like a niche market here. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're Joe Rogan and talking about, everything. We're talking about livestock stuff. And so I know that we're having an impact. And I think the thing that somebody that I really respect that expressed to me, they said, you know what? When y'all talk about it on that podcast, then it seems like it gives other people permission to bring it up. And I said, well, that's weird. And
no, but I think that's the truth, Ryan. I think that's a great analyzation.
But he said, but I'm telling you, Ryan, it's the truth. When y'all bring it up, then it's like, okay, they brought this out there, they put it out there. Now we can talk about it. Now we can go to the manager and say, hey, we heard about this on Beyond the Ring, or Dylan Ryan said this on the podcast. This is our stake on it, our stance on it, what we think. And so I never thought about it that way, but I think there is something to that once it's been brought up, then more people are willing to talk about it out loud to other people.
Speaking of that, Ryan, I think we did make history.
What?
The term crunchy lamb made it into Webster's dictionary.
Oh, good. I'm so excited.
It's a common term now.
That's what I want to be remembered for.
We got
Thanks.
it. Are you ready for question and answer?
Oh,
it's been a while.
I did not miss this last week at all. I
totally just skipped it. I didn't even address it. I don't even know if I brought it up at all.
Oh, of course you skipped it. Of course you did.
Well, I can't pull questions for myself to answer. That doesn't work.
I did.
You did.
When I did by myself, we had question and answer. I talked about that. The 3 questions that Mike get asked the most, and I answered them. Next. Go ahead. I'm very disappointed in your performance. Very, very disappointed.
I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say I didn't. No, I didn't enjoy it. It was uncomfortable, and I was very limited on. I'd been gone for It's a good. I'm glad we didn't skip an episode, but it was. Yeah, I'm happy you're back, Ryan. How's that?
There you go. He appreciates me now, people. Now he appreciates me.
I'm in there. Okay, the first question. I have noticed that hair has become king of the show ring. Please explain why hair is so important, Ryan.
I'm assuming that this is like, well, I guess it's everything because
I think it is everything. I was thinking cattle initially, but I think we're referring to everything.
I was thinking cattle and hogs, and then I was like, well, no, you got to get all that shag on the sheep and goats. But I'll just be honest with you from my standpoint on it. Hair is important because you can take that hair and you can sculpt it to make those animals look more impressive than what they are. You can also use it to hide flaws, accentuate strengths, all of those things. And that's why hair is important, and knowing how to manipulate, clip, fit, all those things with that hair, it gives you advantages in the show ring.
No, and it's real simple. We all talk about it. And Ryan, I hear it all the time. And I used to think that I could as well. Whether in some young goats that we just brought in the barn that have never been slick shorn, never been touched, people want to come and look at them. And I tell them they're still in full hair, and they say, oh, we can look through hair. I get it. I am telling you, I look at these goats every day, and I study these goats for a couple weeks minimum while they're in the barn before we shear them off to picture them. And I can tell good from bad. And I think you can tell some things, but until you take that hair off, you're not going to know. Same thing with cattle. We talk about all these great steers at Houston when they had the hair out of them the next year and we peeled the hair off. I couldn't find a good one in the barn, and Ryan and I have talked about that. But we think we can look through this. But I'll tell you what, sculpting that hair, covering up and making those animals blend smoother from front to rear, everything that it does, we believe we can see through that. But I promise you, you cannot do it as well as you think. So it is all about enhancing the appearance of the animal, period. Nothing more, nothing less. Is it important in the real world? Well, actuality, a lot of cattle in the real world, we select against hair so they don't overheat in certain parts of the country. So there may be a little bit of plus or minus hair in the real world, but for the most part, it doesn't impact that, but it's huge in the show ring because it's all about enhancing that appearance. And there's one other thing I like about hair in the show ring, Ryan. Guess what? We talk about building work ethic, responsibility, these things. More times than not, the quality of hair coat and how well trained it is has a lot to do with how much time that kid's spending in the barn.
No, I agree completely. And again, we had this, I don't remember if it was a complete topic or it was question answered, but the advantages of slick shearing or versus haired shows and all this stuff. I'm going to be honest with you, and people are going to say I'm conceited or whatever, bragging. I think that if you have done this in Texas and the steer world as long as I have, you've had to train yourself to look through the hair more than the average person does, because in the end, that's not going to be there. And they don't sell these things slicked off. FYI, you buy them with hair on them. And so you've got to be able to look through that to some extent. And so we have an advantage down here on that in terms of looking through the hair because you have to. And so I think that makes me a better evaluator, and be real honest. But the thing on the work ethic in terms of the hair coat and all that other stuff, we lose some of that in the slick sheared deal. And that's been one of my biggest hangups about it. Yeah, the people that are super competitive, they're going to be on that hide and hair every single day, slick or haired regardless. But there's a whole section of the population that's not going to spend as much time on it because you're just going to take it all off in the end. And the Texas kids do not get the opportunities to fit their cattle as much as kids from other states. And so they lose out on that aspect of learning how to run a set of clippers, glue, all those things.
No, I agree completely, Ryan. That's good. We maybe need to go back and readdress one of those hair and no hair topics and hit it again. I know we've done it early on, but it may be time. You're going to notice that I did not. I jumped on here and actually pulled these questions, Ryan, as you were talking earlier in this recording. So I pulled the first three that I could find.
Oh, great!
Because this one is addressed to me, and I don't really care for answering the question and answer. But Dale,
no, we know that.
How did your pin of bulls do at Oklahoma City?
You didn't show them. We weren't showing them.
Exactly. That's an easy question. We did enter a pin of bulls, and we took 4 young bulls out there.
I thought we just brought them to display. We didn't show.
No, you're entered in the show. You just have to scratch. So in theory, they were entered in the show. Now, because these are embryos from Argentina, and so forth.
This man has opened up a whole can of worms because all the stuff that I wanted to show, Dale didn't let me show. So thank you for bringing this up.
Exactly. So we could. I don't know that we could. I think we could have shown the pin, but we would not have any EPDs. And the Pin a Bull show is a little more.
We had a Red Angus heifer we could have shown, but nope, we didn't do that, did we? Nope.
We will show the Red Angus heifer. She will get out there at some point. So anyway, back to the Pin a Bulls.
Heifer.
They would not have EPDs, and that is obviously a larger part of a pin show, and it's more commercial related than the other show ring. So if we would have shown, the answer would be I don't think we would have done well. I think we would have looked the part in terms of muscle and build and all those things. But with 0 EPDs coming in, because these are embryos out of another country, they have to build their EPDs, and they just would not have any on them. And we did display a herd bull that was very, very well received. I was thrilled with the response there in terms of people coming through and looking at them. The first year we put any of these Argentina-based cattle on display was last year at Cattleman's, and I cannot complain with the response that we had there. But a lot of people came to look out of curiosity, but we're very standoffish. I don't want to touch that. I don't know what's going to happen. This year, I had segments from the commercial industry, from what I call the absolute strictly show ring industry, and from those that are chasing the numbers game. I looked at some of the cattle that were being sold that were all number cattle in the Angus breed at Oklahoma City. And I don't want to step on any toes, but I'm going to tell it how it is. Those cattle do not look the part. They are dairy cattle narrow in some situations. And the good thing was I had several of those breeders, and I appreciate what they're doing, and they've created their own market, and it's amazing what's happened. And I'm not against people selecting for numbers. Everybody's going to select for something that works in their operation. But they're coming in saying, wow, I'd like to include some of this shape and build out of these cattle that we're bringing up from Argentina into our number cattle. It looks like they perform, but they have no numbers. That if we can simply get them into contemporary groups and get their numbers where they are, they could really add a lot to these what we call number cattle. So the positive is we have all 3 segments looking at something like this with a little more open mind. So I think I hope that we're going in that direction. Remember, the goal is to raise just good cattle that actually can go out and work in the real world, and you can drag into the show ring and get along. New concept, maybe not possible, but that is the goal.
Sir.
Yes.
I want to bring one thing up here.
Oh, not about the red heifer.
Mine and Katie's Red Angus heifer had EPDs. So I'm just saying, we could have shown.
You know,
just saying.
I'm sure she had. You want to know something sad? I don't know that I've even looked at her EPDs.
Doesn't matter. She had them.
I'm sure she has them. Yep. I would agree. She would have those EPDs. The final question. This one has Ryan in the beginning. It says Ryan. Didn't say Ryan and Dale. It says Ryan.
Oh, great.
I have been following what I can find out about Denver and Cattleman's currently going on. I am curious how these shows can run simultaneously and the impact it's going to have on one or the other. Your opinion?
I think it's going to, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's going to have an impact on both shows. And there's a whole nother kink into it. There's Fort Worth. And so that's in there too. All I can tell you is what I'm hearing in terms of numbers. Definitely Cattlemen's Congress has the numbers to share. I think there was over 9,000 entries, if I was correct. Maybe that, but they did make it to where most people could do both. It's a quick turnaround. Like Red Angus were the very first thing to show here in Cattlemen's, but you could also get to Denver if you wanted to. I know people that were pulling out with Herefords and going straight to Denver. So you can do both. It's tight. It's quick, but also here's the thing. Fort Worth is like Callie and I are showing Beefmasters today. We're this afternoon. We leave straight from here on Thursday, and we have to be in the barns in Fort Worth on Saturday. And so you put Fort Worth on the back of that, and Denver doesn't have American cattle, of course, for the most part. So that's okay. Cattlemen's Congress in Fort Worth, but there are going to be some of the hair deals that they're going to make decisions. Well, we're only going to go to 2 of these. Which 2 are we going to go to? Those decisions are going to be based upon who's judging, what the schedules are like, and which shows do they enjoy the most. And that is probably going to be the biggest thing. which shows do they enjoy going to more. And there's a whole lot of things that go into that. And everybody's going to be different. It's going to have an impact. I think there's enough for all the shows to continue to thrive and survive. But I'm just going to be honest with you. What Cattlemen's Congress has done in 2 years is nothing short of astonishing.
I would agree, Ryan. And there's a lot of plus and minus. You know what? Here in a month or so after it all, the dust settles, maybe we address this and just talk openly about here's what's going on. Here's some of the numbers. Here's some of the people's responses, and we can address this further. It might be a good topic to hit on. I can tell you from an exhibitor standpoint, there is no question, partially because it's closer to Illinois. Oklahoma City's the convenience without the passes, getting in and out with the stock and the equipment. All those things is more simple at Oklahoma City. I can also.
No one is yelling at you at Cattlemen's Congress.
No.
Get out of here.
No,
move this, do that. I mean,
you tie in pretty much when you want. You tie out when you want. I mean, it's pretty nice from that standpoint. I will have to say that in the Angus Pin Barn, there was a lot of people showing Angus cattle there, and a lot of those came through and looked at the pins. But I don't know if we had, compared to last year when there was only cattlemen's, those Montana ranchers or North Dakota ranchers, Utah, whatever it is, I did not talk with as many commercial-based people this year at Cattlemen's as I did last year. Talked to as many people, but it was more show ring driven. It'll be interesting to me if those ranchers are going to Denver to walk through the pins or how that's going to work. And from a high-end seller's perspective, there is something that was brought up to me that Oklahoma City's probably not a destination location where Denver can be. You can make a long weekend, go skiing, go snowboarding, stop in at the show if you're not exhibiting anything, walk through, maybe stop at a sale and buy things. I think there is an element that it is a destination location at Denver, and that Rocky Mountains in the backdrop, all those things are hard to replicate, but numbers definitely favor Cattlemen's Congress this year. And I'm not trying to root or push for one or the other.
I'm not either. I'm just stating facts.
Yeah, I wish they could both exist because both
I think
tremendous shows, and maybe we spread them out a little bit more. An example, my daughter, it's Tuesday we're recording on, and my daughter Tara is judging at Cattlemen's Congress today. They have a down day tomorrow, and I believe Denver's contest is Thursday. I'm not saying it's not possible to do, but that's a pretty good push. So all good. Ryan, I don't like saying this. Mm-hmm. I'm happy you're back.
You love me.
I'm happy you are back. And it was good to visit with you out at Cattlemen's and see you at Phoenix, or not see you at Phoenix, see you at Cattlemen's, even though you did skip out on my invitation.
I did not go there. Dale, again, until Friday, I couldn't sit down to eat anything. So I'm sorry about that. Maybe next year.
Now, you can still go there, you know. I think the name of it, I think Mr. Boxell had the name of the restaurant in a post. I can't pronounce it, but it was in a post in case you want to go.
I am never in charge of where we go eat. I leave that. I am the most simple person about food in the history of the world, and I don't eat much at shows anyway. I leave that to the people that are picky about it, like you and like Callie has certain whatever, my parents or whatever, and they're all here. So I let all y'all fight that out. So,
and I do want to extend a thank you to Daddy James and Cherie for taking us out to eat the other night. That was wonderful. Very entertaining with you and Cherie not agreeing on everything.
We don't agree on anything, but
no, I don't think anything.
Pretty much been waiting that way whole life. So
until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now. You hear?